You know, science and religion have never been separate. They only separated them here, and they always fight with each other. Why? Because if they put them together, it all makes sense. Yeah, and the prison planet wouldn't be a prison planet anymore. That's why it was done this way.
Yeah, exactly. Keep saying, okay, now it's happening. Okay,
That
now
was
it's
part
happening.
of the plan, actually. To just have so many people cry wolf for the last 200 years, and nobody listens anymore when the end times do come.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the people that works there is a CIA asset.
That doesn't surprise me. I wouldn't doubt several people in our workshops are too. I think they've been following us around for a long time. But that's okay. We don't do anything harmful. You know, I think they probably find the information interesting, so they keep coming back, whatever.
Who knows? It might help them. So let's see where we left off.
Raven? Last graph.
Okay, so we're basically at December 21st, 2012, and exactly what the potential is at that moment.
This is the alignment that everybody's been trying to figure out what it means we're aligned with galactic core. It's actually the alignment of the rods. If you don't know that spinning bodies have rods and chambers, you have no idea, right? So you're going to try to figure out what angles are happening, what the stars are doing. It's not about that. It's about this. It's about when this frequency comes in here, which, you know, it's stationed in there at that, you know, it's actually coming through and kind of hangs there. That's a period that rotates very slowly. So that is kind of a thing that these things pass through. But at this point right here, when we hit December 21st, 2012, our rods will cross into this and cross, it makes a, what's that, a right angle, I think? I don't know my angles well. It's like 90 degree, where the solar rod, made more powerful by the frequencies they're going to blast through here. Because what they're going to do different here than when this alignment usually occurs is they are opening what's called the Projet black hole center, and they are going to beam in frequency from the parallel side for the final kick. And that kick will send a powerful frequency burst through here, through the solar gates, that will hit our rod as it crosses over, and that will make it spin, which you spin that rod, it's going to spin the whole thing. And actually, part of it, because they're actually already on a spin in the opposite direction, part will spin one way and part will spin the other, and it would snap the crust. And it would be like, you know, within 3-day roll and everything gone. And because they're only interested at this point, before there was some takeover games and let's play with it for a while and evolve with the DNA. But at this point, the big guys, they're only interested in the quantum of energetic food that can be drawn in. They don't even want to play with the little guys, like it's way beyond just the Anunnaki and the Draconians anymore. It's, you know, this is multi-matrix warfare that is happening here. And we've got all sorts involved that we're not even in the Voyages books. We didn't even know about them then. They told us as on a need-to-know basis, by the way, we have Borgia now. By the way, we have Thetans now. By the way, the Thetans are from parallel Earth. Yes, they were part human and part something else over from parallel. And they invaded here 75 million years ago as well, right, and tried to take over the planet then. So it's very interesting. And it's like everybody's represented on Club Universe Earth right now. All the little teachings of each little, you know, fallen group. There's a few that actually are connected with our teachings that aren't fall groups. We haven't found them yet. It would be nice, right? Yeah, it would be so lonesome because it's a bit lonesome standing out here and trying to explain this to people. But we will get through this alignment and we will be able to withstand that acceleration that's going to come through there. That acceleration would spin the rods, and it would also spin the rods fast enough to trigger the core to hit the 55 activation. And then once it hits 55 and does a full 55, it starts going where it eats the quantum behind it and starts expanding rapidly on the Fibonacci spiral and just literally torques where it spins faster and faster and pulls the two of those together. It literally pulls them into the sun and then pulls the sun into the other thing. It takes the whole system out. It's the level of technology involved in this is just, in my mind, mind-blowing. You're just looking, oh my God, you know, what kind of consciousness are we dealing with here? You know, our scientists look like little kindergartners by comparison. Well, wow, we back engineered a spaceship. Whoopie-doo. That is impressive, horrific, but impressive.
Okay,
scary.
But at this point, we have to say that this is not going to happen, and why?
It's not going to happen because of what the Guardian groups are doing to intervene. If it weren't for the intervention of the Ashayana groups that are the ones from the Aquarian matrix that are already the Adashi adepts that have gone through the Christ star, transfiguration, there would not be enough quantum energy to hold the grid stable here to stop this for even 200 years. There's two things. One of them happens this weekend that is the beginning. It has to do with what ultimately becomes in 2012, progressively, what's called the mirror in the sky. We talked about the planes of Earth, right? We showed those maps a bit where it showed from the core going up. They're the different plane interfaces. We showed that there were aurora platforms in between there. They are progressively being activated, and another level of activation is coming through this weekend, that they will create literally a buffer field that will bounce back some of that. It will literally bounce back some of that energy, which is going to be interesting for those on the other end who are throwing it, because it will bounce it back with probably, minimum 12% spin increase. Okay, 12 times at least the strength that was thrown. Some of it will get through, but not enough to rip the rods and make them spin, and not enough to fulfill the 55 activation. Now, that protection can hold only as long as the gates are open, because of what the galactic gates are doing in this, what is called a starfire ascension cycle. The whole thing is called starfire ascension, and that's the Christ star evolutionary process. Those gates have to close in 200 years, which means those big energy arms that are coming down from that matrix that right now are holding Earth's core open so these gates can still work, are going to be pulled back. When that happens, all of this is going to let loose. That Merkaba is going to, the Death Star will activate. But there's going to be something that happens not too long after that. That's going to happen in 2230 AD. In 2976, there's going to be things that the others have caused to occur in the core that actually the Earth is going to choose the path of Kali Ramus step back, and it's going to explode. And that will release. It's kind of like being cremated as opposed to being buried, right? You can be buried in a black hole and be used and used and used while your body's still around. But if you want your spirit free, you can either do the ascension or do the step back. And the Earth is choosing the step back. So there's going to be periods after this host leaves that I'm wondering personally how many are even going to be left by that time on this planet, because there's still the issue of the sun, and it is still going to start throwing larger gamma bursts, and there's going to be a point where that does become a problem. And a good case scenario when it starts to do that, I mean, at first you'll start having the satellites are acting wacky, then you'll start having stranger things happening. There will be a period, I think, and I'm not sure what time frame, they haven't solidified this yet, probably because it's still in flux. It depends on some of the things that the people on this planet choose to do, what the Illuminati choose to do, basically. Because certain things will slow things down as far as Earth changes and solar issues, and certain things will speed them up. So that's why, I'm asking them if that's why they're not giving exact time frames. But there will come a time, I do believe, where there's going to be some very strange electromagnetic storms that become the norm here. Life as we know it now is going to change. The civilization as we know it now is going to change. It's just a matter of when within that 200-year period. One of the things that will accelerate it has to do with something that we're going to be learning about in this workshop that I just know a little bit about, and I'll know more by Monday, like everybody else, that has to do with what the those who make wings and things are up to, the Quartium. There's a certain thing they're trying to achieve. They would like to take over this program and make that theirs and make it fall in their direction. They're not going to achieve that. So they do have a plan B that involves providing a weapon technology to the humans, the Illuminati that they're working with here. They're tricking them, actually. That has to do with some kind of electromagnetic scalar pulse, infrasound type pulse, that they're supposedly giving it to one group. They didn't say which groups they're going to give it to. They give it to one group so they can throw it at their enemies and wipe out a big portion of their enemy's population, except it ricochets back, and it's going to do both. And the Cordium are going to go, get rid of the bunch of you, right? That kind of thing. There's going to probably be an escalation toward war progressively. If you look at the soul groups on this planet, the people who live on this planet, the people who are controlling countries on this planet, everybody hates each other. You know, the Palestinians and the Jewish people, the Muslims and the Christians. I mean, get over it, people. They're not going to get over it. That's the problem. These are soul groups. It's not just about the little people on the ground. Those people are connected to things they don't even remember exist. Those soul groups are having wars with each other. They are trying to wipe each other off the planet because whoever gets left with it might be able to have the resources enough to get off it in spaceships when the time comes, if they're planning on being the ones left. And the Christ's purpose in this is to just hold ground and keep the gates open for the 200-year period and help as many people who want to learn how to get as far as they can with their biological evolution. If they can't fully go into a transfiguration, that's fine. You can learn how to bardo properly so you don't get stuck in your body once it does die, and you can get out into the proper gate sets and not get caught in the wormholes. That's our job, is to keep that potential alive on the planet. What the others do around us make it really, really ugly at a certain point. That ugly could happen as early as 2019 to 2022, because that's around the time that there's a strong possibility. It's not phase locked in yet. It depends on who chooses what, and now it's Illuminati choosing. Good luck with that. What they choose to do with the Cortium's offer on a certain weapon, but there's also something Guardians are doing to make it more appealing to not bother, and that has to do with the activations of the ancient arrow sites. Because if they are activated on the crystal spiral, the weapon that the Cortium are using won't work.
Okay.
Welcome to our weekend.
That's actually along the lines of the positive side of the Wingmaker's material.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because those sites belonged to the Guardians originally.
Okay. Yeah. And so, because there is a distinction, the Cortium is not the Wingmakers.
Okay.
The Wingmakers are actually the positive beings that would be similar to what you're calling the Guardians, in essence, as they're described in the Wingmaker material.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I'm just telling you what
I'm sure they think they're very nice.
Okay, but they're not the Cortium. This is a different group.
Okay.
Okay.
They're actually part of the same group.
No, not according to the Wingmakers.
According to the
The
Guardians,
Cortium
they
are the bad guys in the Wingmakers.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I mean, you have to, I understand that you
They're
haven't
still
gotten
saying
into
that
the
the
Wingmakers.
Cortium are the Wingmakers. They made up the story.
Okay. I mean,
Right? And this isn't the
what,
people on the ground. This isn't the people who
No, I
discovered the
understand.
sites.
I'm just telling you what the information tells you.
Right.
The information tells you they're two different groups.
Yeah.
That the Wingmakers were the original guys that came from Source, and the Cortium are the ones that have what's called blank slate technology.
Yes, the
That's
beast.
what they call it.
Yes, the beast.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. This is the blank slate technology,
Yes.
by the way. And it's not just theirs. Everybody's fighting over it that has it. But they are actually the same race group,
Okay.
is what the Guardians are saying. Because I didn't know anything about the Wingmakers. And they start, they put this thing in words, who are the Wingmakers? And they said, go look it up. And they just, what? Oh, whatever. And it never came up again. But now it is, because we're getting to 2011 when they're going to try their thing. But their thing isn't going to work.
Right.
Because we're going to activate. See, the Cortium and their Wingmaker friends, relatives, actually know that there are more than 7 sites. There are 7 they managed to conquer. So they're the 7 they're trying to look for and they're planning to activate. The Guardians know because they were the Guardian sites to begin with, and they are somehow connected to those spanner gates, but I'm not sure how yet. We'll find out more over the weekend. They know that there are 12 primary and 24 secondary. Now, if there's only 7 compromised, if you activate those others, they'll quantum override the compromise and fix the broken arrows. And that's exactly what they're planning to do. And by the time this gets aired, it'll be done.
Okay.
By Monday, it'll be done. And I remember when they came to me and said, we're talking about Wingmakers? I don't know anything about Wingmakers. And I said, we do. It's like, okay. But the people have been tricked by these groups. It's something that you had mentioned, where you play one side off the middle, where you pretend you're being victimized, but it's actually you're playing both sides. That is what they're doing. The Cortium and the Wingmakers are the same group. They are the same soul group. They're the same race group. And they may have differences in their issues, and they have different, I think they evolved in different lines, and they're warring with each other. Because right now, this is about a war from the Taural Rift. Mm-hmm. They said they're coming from, 2770 AD? That's where they're coming in from. right? That's after this place has gone into total rift alignment. So there are wars taking place between them, one blaming the other, et cetera, et cetera. But they're the same race group that's fighting with each other. And they both want to take the quantum of this. They want to take over this mission. It's kind of foolish because they're taking on a bunch of big guys that you have to be really, really arrogant if you're a fallen angelic group to really even attempt. To the ones who are controlling this now, like the Borgia, are one of the strongest and nastiest fallen groups that there are, and they're huge. They have a huge portion of the parallel Vecca system that went down, and parallel Akasha. So, like in the parallel Akasha, good luck to them with that, but they're not going to achieve it, because if it were allowed to go through, first of all, they would activate those sites. They wouldn't need to play games with giving weapons technology. They would just use it. And they would be the ones that were pushing the buttons for this extinction to occur. The whole thing is a trickery. Now, some of the things that in the sites were from our guys, right, at various times. But some of them were from theirs. That's why the art is very dangerous. Some of it's wonderful and beautiful. Others of it is coded mathematically like that to trigger the Metatronic stuff in your DNA. So you have to be really careful. There's ways to watch stuff with a screen. Right, where you just put the screen. Sure. Yeah, and there's ways like if we're the same way you do photography. If somebody takes your picture, you put the screen up. So it's really funny if you ever try to mess with somebody through a photograph, or even just find out who they are and do a psychic read. If they're good at screening, they'll come right up in your face and go, "Excuse me, you didn't ask." Right. So there's these games that we play. Like whenever I do anything on video, there's the screen is there. You can do that when you're looking at the art, or the music is more dangerous, because if you get the other stuff, the sound tones work even more quickly than the optical pineal induction does as far as triggering the DNA. Yeah, so I just avoid it, the whole Wingmakers thing, even though some of the art's very pretty. It's like, whatever. So anyway, but whatever their story is, I'm not here to tell their story. I'm here to tell the story that the Guardians are explaining to me about them. Because there's a lot of beings out there that are actually have done some really horrible things and then blame it on that one and pretend they're the good guys. This is like, the old sleight of hand that has been going on. Is part of the reason why it got this bad in Atlantis and worse, because of the trickery that was going on. So we just I kind of feel like a cosmic news reporter sometimes. And it's like people don't always want to hear the news. And I trust my sources, and I will just let people know what my sources have said. And they can do what they want with that. They don't have to agree, and that's okay. But that's what I understand about the Wingmakers, and I will believe what the Guardians tell me, because they have showed amazing things in the knowledge that they have provided. I've never seen anything stand up to this paradigm that they've showed. And there's a reason, because it's the real thing. I look at it and go, oh my God. And then I kind of go, how did I survive doing all those graphs? Right? I wonder sometimes, because I just focus on the moment and have to get done whatever it is for this thing and this thing. But this is the first time we've actually got to just kind of go and look back and say, wow, look at all of this information. That's one of the things that helps to keep me going with it, because it wasn't fun having to, be Metatron's whistleblower. That's not the role I wanted to play. But when they showed the mechanics and showed how people were being hurt and how they were hurting the planet and they were being tricked, what was I going to do? Say, I'm too scared to go and talk about it? The New Age people aren't going to like me? Too bad. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to tell the truth. And that's kind of where it's at. But there's a lot of hopeful things to look for. We're in a calm before the storm right now. And one of the most important things is to move through the 2012 period, where we do have enough quantum of energy of anchoring that crystal spiral. There shouldn't be a problem with it, even if there's only 3 of us left standing on a beach somewhere doing it. But the more people involved with that, the better that would be for them as well as for us. Now, these activations of the crystal spiral will happen even if there's only one Guardian left on the planet to anchor it. The more people there are, the stronger it'll be. But the people who actually do anchor it before that 55 hits will have a protection field that people who do these technologies after, they'll still get some protection field from it. But if you can get the DNA protection before that 55 hits, it will be much easier, and you will have much less problem with the 55 activations than if you discovered this in 2013. You can still use it in 2013, but you will still be working with a DNA code that has been dragged into a 55 and holding. And that means right there, biological ascension is out of the question completely. All right. That's where you work on Bardo. Okay. The next thing you can do to evolve, to your next highest level would be to work on a proper Bardo when the time comes, which means keep your body alive as long as possible, bring as much as Christic frequency in as you can. And when it reaches its natural death point, which usually comes when the seed atom is about to burn out, right? Because it doesn't have enough quantum coming in from the amount of inflow, and it gets tired, and that's what actually causes natural death. Natural death isn't natural, but on a Metatronic code, that's what causes it. So, people are welcome to join us with this. We're going to be doing something that night of the solstice. I'm not sure what it is yet. I think we're booked here, though, aren't we? No, we're booked somewhere. Yeah, but we don't know what we're doing yet. But we just know we have to be there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we for a long time the Guardians have told me, like, when I'm walking into a lecture, don't know what I'm speaking about yet, and they're like, in the elevator going up, and the room is right there as soon as the door opens, and I have a napkin and a pen, and they're going, here you go. They're going, just show up and take it from there. We'll be there with you, and that is how I've survived the last 10 years of this wacky way of bringing amazing information to the planet. It's not been easy on this side, but I am in love with this material. There's no church out there. There's no science out there that can touch the unified church and science put together, religion and science, spirit and science put together, that is in here. And that's why we do what we do, and we love this planet too. And so it's kind of where we're at. Any other question areas you want to go into?
Okay, that's lovely, and I think that's a wonderful sort of place to end, or at least close this for now. But I do have a few questions just in general, and we could probably skip over them pretty quickly.
Okay.
So I think that some people are going to be wondering whether or not some of the most recent occurrences, like what happened in Haiti. And,
it's on the workshop itinerary to talk about that.
So if you could talk about that a little bit in terms of, because there's also a grid line in which goes through these points and joins them up. So I'm wondering if that was targeted by heart and what your knowledge is and what you've been given on that regard.
Because that is already listed on the workshop itinerary, that's something we're going to be talking about.
Yes.
I would be glad to answer that later, but we will have more information. I have information on it, okay, but out of respect for the people coming to the workshop, we'll release it there first on that. See. But okay, yes, it is connected. Yes, there's a specific thing that triggered the Haiti earthquake that was done on purpose. It wasn't done to cause an earthquake, but they knew that would be the result of it, and they didn't care, as usual. Right? Yeah, it's connected to something. Let's just put it this way. It's connected to something called the gravitron that's in the Gulf of Mexico, and it's connected to something called the Alpha Omega temples and the Spear of Destiny grids, which happen to be draconian grids, all right, the Omicron draconian. So it has to do with certain activations taking place there, and that is why that was caused. And the Chile one is also connected, but that was actually a counteraction. That has to do with the wingmakers, not the Cordium. Wingmakers helped that one along. Yeah. The earthquakes aren't being done on purpose, but they are, the result of that probably happening is known when the certain grid mechanics are being done, and they're doing them anyway. Yeah, and there will be more instances like that.
Okay. Also, in terms of, there are a lot of people, including the governments, secret governments of countries, building huge underground bases at this time. And what is your take on what's going to happen in regard to those bases and so on?
I think they're expecting the solar flares to come sooner rather than later.
Okay.
And there is a very distinct possibility that we will all see an end similar to the Knowing movie.
Okay.
Hopefully later rather than sooner.
Meaning, because certainly you're not talking about you're talking after 2019, I'm assuming.
Probably. Mm-hmm. See, these are some of the things that it depends on who does what here, and also who does what in relation to this mess running through the solar grids and all of that, how fast or slow things will be.
Okay.
Because eventually there will be Earth changes. First thing is to wake up in 2013 and have one of those kind of, what was it, Y2K mornings? Oh, that was boring. Nothing happened, still here, right? That would be good. And that we'll probably succeed with. Then what? Then we still have a bunch of countries that are being motivated to try to rip each other apart eventually. Then we're having a bunch of people still doing grid wars, and that's not going to change anytime soon. And we still have a sun that is progressively separating from its Rasha body in Bardo ring waves, one a year. The 15th level one comes in 2022. There's also something that the Guardians have been doing, and we started this a while back when we found out, about the solar issue. Is there's something called the aquiline sun buffer field that again has to do with the planes that run through the Earth's atmosphere and also through the solar atmosphere, because the sun has a similar structure. All stellar bodies would have that similar structure of the 4 sets of 15 layers, right? And that means it would still have those places where the aurora continuum could come through. Right now, the reason we haven't seen any solar issues of a major sort happening is because of that buffer field. The Guardians put it up as soon as that Pranaseed closed, because usually it sends each one of those waves that come off when the dark matter body separates from the physical matter body, releases a gamma burst, and that will usually send an EMP out, electromagnetic pulse. What do they call those really big ones? Those big pulses? There's a name. No, the CMEs.
Yes,
Yeah.
CME.
Yeah, would usually do that. In those, there would be something called a red pulse, which is an underpulse that comes with it that actually shatters matter from the inside out. That would have started on a small level already if it weren't for the buffer field that was activated. They call it the aquiline sun because if you see it in the astro, it looks like a glowing aqua-colored sun. It's very pretty. But it's also been keeping the gamma burst down and actually transmuting them before they come out. How long that will hold, it may hold the whole time. If not, there may be some moments where it comes out. If it's going to go into a knowing scenario, like a knowing movie, they will let us know. And there will be certain things that can be done and certain things that can't be done. If it goes that, there's always the option of what they call pulling the shield, which means the Aquafarian shield, the people who are attached to the crystal spiral, they can get them up and out, while it's still possible. And if their bodies can't, they would simply bring them through the gates. And, that's a really good way if you want to Bardo really fast, is to just go through a Stargate when your DNA can't handle it yet. Just inhale and hold. So when you go, psh, all of your little pieces of consciousness stay together and you don't go all over the universe. It shouldn't come to that. We will be warned if it will. But that is a possibility out there, but it's most likely a later one rather than a sooner one. The most pressing issues now are going to be what humans and Illuminati do on this planet. There's a slight possibility of invasion from the sky. It's not as strong as it has been in other periods because there's not a lot that would be gained by it right now from any of the sides. But that may change. We'll see where they go with that. And that's something that the Guardians are watching. They're also planning, the Guardians are planning their own visitation, but they're not going to use spaceships. What they're going to do are activate these particular zones that can be opened between those planes, where there will be spaces where the higher Earth planes and these Earth planes actually commingle. And they can come here and meet us halfway, and we can go there and meet them halfway. So they're going to start, and then eventually, once we get that far, the next stage will be able to go over to that side, the first level out of here, which is going to higher Earth, all right, which is the higher Earth planes. And they will look physical. Once you get your consciousness one dimension above where their matter is, it is physical, it is solid. So that's what we're working on now, the next phase. And so that's what it kind of looks like right now. And it's just, I find myself, like, how I deal with this, how I deal with the information that they've given me, and okay, what are we looking at here? And it's like, well, it could go this way, or it could go that way. We definitely know this part's happening. That's phase lock. But these things are still variables. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of things that are like, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. But when may be like closer to the end of the loadout 200-year cycle and that kind of thing. So it's just kind of like watch and wait and learn how to be at peace anyway. And not let it wreck your day and not let it make you scared. And there's a space especially with working with some of the techniques that really do get you into a state of expansion where you feel that connection, that living connection to God's source. It wouldn't matter if I ever heard a guardian again. I feel the living connection with source. I know I am okay. Whether my body lives here or doesn't, that's okay. I am okay, and I am home. And that is a space that I hope to be able to help other people to reach, because it is the space you need to go through these times in, where you can still smile and still make jokes and mean it, and still, most importantly, love everybody. Because with the horrible things that have been done to this planet and people do to each other, and not just ETs, by the way, a lot of these people are not just ET, but they're ID, interdimensionals. Not all of them use spaceships. Some of them use those nasty Merkaba fields, right, as their transit vehicles. But to be able to keep the love there anyway is part of the lesson, I think, that consciousness comes into situations like this to move through. It's almost like a test of your merit on, do you really love? Do you really know what that means? Can you still love them even if they do that? Can you still not be afraid even though you know this is occurring? And it touches you, because we're dealing with these little emotional bodies down here that go, I'm scared. But I'm going to be tough anyway. I believe in the Christ. And the one nice thing is, there is only one set of rules that does apply in the eternal cosmos. And they are the rules of the Christ. The only people that haven't learned that yet are the ones that still play the FA games, the fallen angelic games. Because all they will eventually do is meet the consequence of their action. And the people who don't allow themselves to be lowered to that level of action and keep their truth and keep their love and all of those things, they will also be met with the consequence of that. It's about not letting yourself be worn down by those who act in unkind or evil even ways around you. Evil eventually destroys itself. This too shall pass. But the eternal is just that, eternal. It's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. Anyway.
Okay, thank you very much, Ashayana Dean.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to ask one more question, and we'll see, because that was a lovely ending. But I do want to ask you, just in case, there are a lot of people out there who think that they're going to be rescued by spaceships, by positive beings in spaceships, in and around 2012, after 2012, and so on. Can you please address that?
Let's put it this way. There's none of those lined up in the port and any of the Guardian sites. It is a possibility, if things are going to go bad, that some of the other ones from the fallen matrices will come and get what they consider their own seed in order to transport it elsewhere in the fall systems. It's a possibility. But even if you're in that position, I wouldn't hold my breath. Okay, these beings were planning to move those rods and have it all over while they were telling people that, 2012 is going to be your ascension. It was going to be your annihilation. If they did come in, I'd really think twice before I got on that ship. So that's our opinion on it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your patience with this, for letting the Guardians speak about what they felt was important. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
They were given an agenda that they thought without any doubt was rolling out, and it simply isn't. And those people weren't lying to us. I mean, they were convinced and they believed it, and they were leading their lives accordingly. And they still are. A lot of them are still with that agenda. They're building their underground bases. They're going through all the motions. They fully expect, And we have one witness who he keeps being told every, year or 6 months or something, this is it, And I mean, so it's sad for them in a way, because even if they were well-meaning initially, they're telling us what was supposed to happen with conviction. It doesn't happen. And then they it's like the kind of calling, wolf too many times.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
keep saying, okay, now it's happening. Okay,
That
now
was
it's
part of
happening.
the plan, actually, to just have so many people cry wolf for the last 200 years and nobody listens anymore when the end times do come.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where that's where this interview comes in and is fascinating, because one of the things that I've noticed is, you have a churning, very difficult to get new material into that mix. And I'm sure that that's part of the program, which has to do with, the earth being surrounded by those levels. But in my view, you were bringing new material. This is new material. This is fresh. And it just doesn't seem to be seeded out there in other places, and so, and I find that stunning, actually. You don't expect to find one place and one piece of, group of information that would only exist one place on the earth. Usually there's a duplication somewhere, but I'm not seeing it. So,
At this point, we'd be thrilled to find nothing.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's like,
Wow.
and it's the same with science.
Right,
It's
for
just
sure.
like earthly science is so caught in this web
Oh,
of
it's just a total
repetition
loop. Yeah.
and even the free energy group is having a problem. I mean, getting new information and new material into this planet seems to be a real problem.
It's not easy.
And so that's part of what
it actually causes physical pain to bring that fresh line in.
Yeah.
Because the body is still holding, the dimensional body structures are still holding the mutation of the planetary grids. So that information has to force itself through. And we get everything from extreme bone pain and joint pain.
Yeah.
So sometimes when it comes in, if a really heavy, fast line comes in, instant nausea and just heat flash. Except what's really funny is that the men get heat flashes too. So it's not just menopause.
Yeah, I
know. Menopause.
Absolutely.
menopause. And children
Sure
pause
enough.
because even the younger ones get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is there. Yeah. In the beginning time, it was hilarious. Just like, well, I'm glad I have front teeth because the back ones just kept shattering. Yeah, just from the amount of frequency coming. Yeah.
Incredible.
Through. Yeah. Fun celebration. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, I've had that
very much anymore.
happen also. I mean, I think that there are also places on the planet where this is more likely to happen than other places. Egypt is one of them.
Some of the worst.
Yeah, but very powerful. I mean, certain places are very powerful and can really, I mean, I've been hit just incredibly where I've just fallen on the ground and stuff, type of thing. So it can be very intense.
We had one of those in England when I first went over before we were married. And I went over for the first time to the workshops over there. I think it was the second one. And I got hit so bad while I was on stage. Yeah, and literally, I was like shaking. I had to call a break, and we were told by the Guardians to go home now, cancel the other 5, just go.
Yeah.
Right, and get on stage. And that was when we broke the treaty about there in 2000. And all of a sudden, the girls weren't safe over there anymore where they had us. So it's a really nasty game, but you gotta maintain a sense of humor.
Yeah, I think that's really important too. I think some people don't appreciate that, but
we really get grouchy about it.
no, and I noticed that right away when I was watching your videos. I was like, oh my God, thank God this woman has, a sense of humor. Because your sense of humor was obvious, on stage. It was, that you had sort of a lighthearted ability to laugh at yourself and what was going on.
I refuse to let someone take that away from me. That's something that's really important because if you let it get to you, it won. Right? Seriously. So, I go through my fishing boats. They groom you, don't you? I'm hypersensitive to sound and light and the whole bit. It's like,
Yeah,
Those
exactly.
moments.
No, I mean,
when the frequency is really running high. But to let it move me into depression or anger, it's like, okay, I can let little wave bang, darn it, they wish they just stop doing that stuff, but they're not gonna stop doing it. So get over it, right? It's a fucking day anyway.
yeah,
And it's true. If I can hold that in myself, I can transmit it. And just in my delivery and just in meeting people at all. And maybe that would give them a frequency boost so they can do that too.
Right.
Yeah, because if not, it just takes.
So you kind of rise the boat.
Alors, pour savoir ce qu'il s'est réellement passé le 21 décembre 2012, je vous invite à aller sur le site de arhayas.com directement. Et là, quand il y a les posts, il y a quand on va sur les posts, il y a différentes dispensations, c'est comme ça qu'ils les appellent. Et celui du 31 décembre 2012 s'appelle les 13 jours de Christmas. Christmas, ça veut dire la messe du Christ. Donc, si je clique dessus, il y a tout ce texte. Je n'ai pas tout traduit en français, mais j'ai traduit une partie que je vais vous lire ici. Donc, le 31 décembre 2012, 13 jours de Christmas. Alors, Christmas, donc le mot en anglais Christmas qui est devenu Noël, à l'origine c'est ça que ça voulait dire, ça voulait dire la messe du Christ. Alors, AMCC, c'est Alhambra Magistracy Councils of Casminias, et si on traduit en français, ça veut dire les conseils Alhambra de la magistrature des Cosminias. MCEO, ça veut dire Melchizedek Cloister Emerald Order ou le cloître Melchizedek de l'ordre d'émeraude. Christmas veut dire messe du Christ, fail-safe veut dire infaillible, deification veut dire déification, net, c'est l'abréviation, enfin c'est l'acronyme de Niberian Electrostatic Transduction Field ou quelque chose comme ça. Donc ça veut dire champ nibiruien électrostatique, de transduction électrostatique ou quelque chose comme ça, mais bon, c'est un filet. En anglais, c'est marrant parce que quand on prend l'acronyme, ça fait net veut dire filet, et c'est vraiment un filet fréquentiel de contrôle mental qui entoure la Terre. Et donc cette Terre qui est entourée par ce filet électrostatique nibiruien, il l'appelle la Terre nette. Donc c'est la Terre qui est sous le filet et c'est la Terre sur laquelle nous nous trouvons. Les plans D, ce sont les plans deity, donc les plans divins et éternels. PCM veut dire particum, PKA veut dire partiquet. Les portes D-span, ce sont les portes qui ont une portée vers les plans D, donc vers les plans divins et éternels. La faille torale, c'est la traduction de Toral Rift, et c'est une déchirure dans le temps, qui vient du trou noir. Quand il y a R majuscule, ça veut dire reversed, donc inversé. Alors, dans le texte, quelque part, il y aura PCM34R / PKA21R est égal à 55.5 R, et donc ça veut dire la Terre nette particum, donc PCM c'est particum, c'est la Terre nette, c'est donc la Terre nette particum à 34 tours R reversed inversé, / la Terre parallèle partiquet à 21 tours inversés, donc au total on a 34 plus 21 tours inversés, 34 du côté de la Terre nette, donc chez nous, et 21 tours du côté de la Terre parallèle, donc ça fait un total de 55.5 tours inversés, et c'est le système de trous de verre alpha-oméga, donc qui harnachait la Terre nette et la Terre parallèle chutée ensemble, et le but c'était que ça s'active à 55 tours et que les deux partent dans le trou noir. Mais donc ce harnais entre les deux a été coupé de façon permanente, progressivement, entre octobre et décembre 2012, donc, mais c'est le lien entre les deux. Donc la Terre, comment dire, ce lien avec tout plein de tours inversés entre la Terre nette et la Terre parallèle a été coupé, mais il reste encore les 34 tours inversés sur notre Terre à nous. Donc, alors voici la traduction de la partie, je pense que j'ai traduit ici. Voilà, de faute. J'ai traduit tout ça là. Donc, je vais vous lire ici ce que ça donne. Ce qui suit est une traduction verbatim de l'AMCC-MCIO par l'intermédiaire du speaker 1 de l'AMCC-MCIO Iesha Ashayana Aneya Kananda Melchizedek. Tous les documents sont sous copyright, sous le nom de Iesha Ashayana, alias Diane K. Dean, et sont protégés par une marque déposée sous les enseignements Tantri Ahura, la voie de l'art biospirituel. Voilà, donc c'est un matériel pour lequel il y a un copyright, donc c'est pour ça que, bon, là je traduis seulement des extraits et je renvoie vers les propriétaires du copyright. Alors, AMCC MCIO, 13 jours de Christmas et l'éveil planétaire de la graine d'argent. Aperçu général des activations de la grille planétaire. Du 21/12/2012 au 1er mars 2013. Cela inclut AMCC MCIO, activation de prélude, réseau planétaire des cathédrales Al-Humbra, passage Al-Humbra, pont de la Trinité, menottes d'or planétaire, désactivation planétaire de la Merkaba de l'étoile de la mort, activation planétaire de la graine d'argent d'Arhayas, arche planétaire d'Arhayas, code fail-safe des gardiens de portail des talismans planétaires, plateforme d'ascension de l'île des plans D et île Arhayas du soleil 8, flamme planétaire d'Arhayas, éveil de la graine d'argent planétaire Arhayas Cosminias de l'atome semence de vie éternelle du soleil 8 de plasma, générateur phasé de plasma du temple du lotus planétaire, Al planétaire d'Arhayas, œil du passage Al-Humbra, terre temporaire Al-Humbra, œil d'Arhayas Al-Humbrus, passage Cosminias Al-Humbrus, terre d'ascension Aurora, processus de déification planétaire, point de pulsation de l'œil d'Arhayas, point de flash de l'œil d'Arhayas, portée d'Arhayas Cosminias Al-Humbrus, point de déification planétaire, la spire ou obélisque cristal Al-Humbra de la création de vie éternelle, la rivière cristal d'Arhayas, le 13e jour de Christmas, l'aube de l'âge des Lumières, et la vie en 2012 après les chuchotements aux orbes de la terre et l'éveil de la graine d'argent. Alors, d'octobre-novembre 2012, voyage au Pérou. Donc ça correspond à... C'était ça. Oui, ceci. Oups. Ceci. Oui, c'est ça. Alors, le voyage au Pérou, activation de prélude AMCC MCIO. L'AMCC a activé l'ouverture du réseau planétaire des cathédrales Al-Humbra, des portes d'Ispan, des soleils 1 à 7 plus 8 et des tunnels temporels des passages Al-Humbra des plans Deity via l'ancrage, l'activation du pont de la Trinité, plasma centraux des soleils 8, 5 et 2 dans le complexe des cathédrales Al-Humbra 2 du Pérou. Le pont de la Trinité est ensuite descendu du complexe de la cathédrale Al-Humbra 2 Pérou vers les 4 autres sites du complexe des cathédrales planétaires, amorçant l'activation de l'ensemble du réseau planétaire des cathédrales Al-Humbra et la libération des menottes d'or planétaires. Le harnais de contrôle métatronique Brelind Fetali Pentagone Vesica Piscis sur les portes d'Ispan du réseau planétaire des cathédrales Al-Humbra de la fin de l'an 100 au début de l'an 200 de notre ère, le début de l'activation du réseau planétaire des cathédrales Al-Humbra et la libération des menottes d'or planétaires ont initié la coupure permanente de la Merkaba métatronique de l'étoile de la mort de l'ensemble de 21 spires inversées de la même spirale que la Terre, Partie, et de la Merkaba métatronique de l'étoile de la mort de l'ensemble de 34 spires inversées de la même spirale que la Terre nette Particum, donc notre Terre. La coupure progressive de ces deux aspects des champs planétaires de Merkaba métatronique de l'étoile de la mort, qui s'est achevée le 20 du 12 2012, a progressivement et définitivement bloqué l'ouverture des portes métatroniques planétaires alpha-oméga entre la Terre parallèle Partie, la matrice Bourga et le champ de distorsion spatio-temporelle de la faille torale et notre Terre nette Particum, réduisant progressivement le champ Merkaba planétaire de l'étoile de la mort inversée de notre Terre Particum net, de la vitesse de rotation inversée à 55 tours de l'activation de la Merkaba de l'étoile de la mort, à partir de mai 2012, à une vitesse de rotation inversée à 34 tours. Alors pour expliquer ce que tout ça veut dire, donc dans l'interview Camelot de 2010, Yesha a parlé de ce système de trous de verre alpha-oméga entre notre Terre et la Terre, donc notre Terre Particum et la Terre parallèle Partie, qui était liée donc par cette Merkaba de l'étoile de la mort à 55 tours, donc 34 tours chez nous et 21 tours sur la Terre parallèle. Donc c'est ça qu'il voulait faire le 21 décembre 2012. Il voulait activer cette étoile de la mort, prendre la Terre nette et la Terre parallèle et ramener tout ça dans le trou noir. Ils ont essayé plus tôt, c'est-à-dire qu'au lieu de le faire le 21 décembre 2012, ils ont activé ça en mai 2012. Donc ça veut dire qu'en mai 2012, ça a été l'activation de cette étoile de la mort, de cette Merkaba de l'étoile de la mort a commencé. Alors la seule façon pour arrêter ça, c'était de infuser les fréquences plasma des champs divins et éternels. Mais c'était pas possible parce que jusqu'à maintenant, il y avait ce qu'on appelle les menottes d'or, donc en sang, donc voilà. Donc il y avait un harnais de contrôle métatronique qui date de de l'an 100, au début de l'an 200 de notre ère. Il y a eu un conflit au niveau plasma et ça s'est terminé par les fétali Brelint qui ont mis donc ce harnais qu'on appelle les menottes d'or, et c'est ce qui a empêché pendant tout ce temps d'avoir ce lien vers les fréquences plasma des domaines divins éternels internes. Donc ce qu'ils ont fait, c'est qu'ils ont fait un voyage au Pérou, et au Pérou ils ont désactivé ce harnais de contrôle pour pouvoir commencer à infuser les fréquences plasma des plans divins internes, des plans éternels internes, et ça a résulté à donc le lien, donc la Merkaba planétaire de l'étoile de la mort entre notre Terre et la Terre parallèle, donc le lien a été coupé, et donc ça a réduit la Merkaba, donc ça a réduit la vitesse de rotation de 55 tours, donc c'est plus 55 tours, mais c'est 34 tours, et il n'y a plus ce lien vers la Terre parallèle. Donc, ces activations de prélude AMCC MCIO qui ont eu lieu pendant le voyage au Pérou du 10 de octobre à novembre 2012 ont bloqué de façon permanente l'invasion fétali des portes de la Terre nette Particum, donc ici. Ces activations ont amorcé la désactivation permanente de la Merkaba planétaire de l'étoile de la mort, ont complètement empêché l'activation de la Merkaba planétaire de l'étoile de la mort Particum 34R, Partie 21R est égal à 55.5 reverse, donc inversé, et ont empêché de façon permanente le déplacement des pôles de la Terre nette Particum prévu par les fétali du 21 décembre 2012 au 16 février 2013 dans l'alignement de la faille torale. Donc voilà, ce qu'il voulait faire, c'était allumer cette Merkaba planétaire de l'étoile de la mort, et donc forcer un alignement de la Terre vers la faille torale, donc le trou noir, et cela aurait provoqué un déplacement d'épaule. Donc voilà, il n'y a pas eu de déplacement d'épaule. Les activations de prélude de l'AMCC-MCIO ont également préparé la Terre nette Particum à l'incroyable guérison via les activations planétaires fail-safe veut dire infaillible, de la graine d'argent d'Arhayas planétaire qui ont eu lieu et qui continuent d'avoir lieu du 21 décembre 2012 au 3 janvier 2013 tout au long de la période des 13 jours de Christmas de l'AMCC-MCIO. Alors, du 21 décembre 2012 au 3 janvier 2013. C'est ça que j'ai traduit, je crois. AMCC-MCIO, activation planétaire fail-safe de la graine d'argent, terre d'ascension aurora et éveil planétaire de la graine d'argent et déification planétaire. Donc, traduction d'un extrait des explications de ces activations. J'ai pas tout traduit, mais c'est quelque part en dessous ici. Donc, une fois que la flamme d'Arhayas s'est activée avec le temple d'Arhayas de la Terre médiane, donc la Terre médiane, c'est la Terre dans un futur qui n'a pas chuté. Donc une fois que la flamme d'Arhayas s'est activée avec le temple d'Arhayas de la Terre médiane et de la Terre nette, le 23 décembre 2012, l'atome semence d'argent planétaire de vie éternelle, alias la semence d'argent planétaire de plasma du Soleil 8 éternel, est descendu du Soleil 8 dans les temples d'Arhayas de la Terre médiane et de la Terre nette, reliant les cœurs de la Terre médiane et de la Terre nette de façon permanente à travers l'atome semence planétaire de plasma du Soleil 8, nouveau, renaissant. La graine d'argent planétaire, également connue sous le nom de lin Soleil 8 or argent, est le bourgeon central cosminia générateur à cellules phasées de plasma du cœur du Soleil 8, de l'œil éternel de Dieu, d'Arhayas, cosminias, par lequel la Terre médiane et la Terre nette donnent naissance au tout premier temple du lotus planétaire générateur phasé de plasma, centre de fabrication du modèle de plasma élémental de la Terre, tout comme les générateurs phasés du temple du lotus sur l'île sanctuaire. Les cœurs de la Terre médiane, qui est en 1520 après Jésus-Christ, et de la Terre nette, l'époque actuelle, ont été unis de façon permanente et le générateur phasé de plasma du temple du lotus planétaire a été activé lorsque la Terre médiane et la Terre nette ont reçu l'atome de semence d'argent de plasma du Soleil 8 Arhayas Cosminias le 23 décembre 2012. Simultanément, le bouclier de l'hôte Aquaférion et les corps de plasma de tous ceux qui sont sur l'hôte de la rivière Cristal ont reçu leur propre semence d'argent de vie éternelle du Soleil 8 de plasma par transmission depuis le temple planétaire d'Arhayas. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire ça? C'est une technologie de pliage de temps. C'est-à-dire que de l'autre côté, ils essayent de nous tirer en manipulant les lignes de temps vers le trou noir. Et bien ici, c'est de l'ingénierie spatio-temporelle, mais vers les domaines éternels. Donc, comme de l'autre côté, ils essaient de prendre la Terre et de l'avaler dans le trou noir, eh bien, la réponse des gardiens n'est pas d'attaquer, mais de travailler avec les lignes de temps, de façon non invasive. Donc, il y a eu comme une fusion des cœurs de la Terre, mais de deux terres différentes. Donc, on a la Terre nette, qui est celle sur laquelle on est, et la Terre médiane, qui est la Terre en 6520 après Jésus-Christ. Alors, les deux cœurs, dans un espace-temps, il y a un espace-temps dans lequel les les cœurs de ces deux planètes, ce qui est la même planète, mais dans deux points différents de l'espace-temps, mais c'est la même planète, l'une dans le futur, celle-ci, et une autre dans le futur où il n'y a eu aucune chute. Ça est fusionné au niveau du cœur de la Terre, et ça permet à commencer à générer un champ de fusion par lequel tous les gens, donc une partie, enfin un maximum de quantum de la Terre-net va commencer à pouvoir bouger, donc sortir du harnais vers le trou noir et bouger vers cette autre ligne de temps qui est la Terre médiane en 6520 après Jésus-Christ. Et en même temps, toutes les formes de vie peuvent faire la même chose aussi. C'est ça que ça veut dire. Simultanément, le bouclier de l'hôte Aquaférion et les corps de plasma de tous ceux qui sont sur l'hôte de la rivière de cristal ont reçu leur propre atome semence d'argent de vie éternelle du soleil 8 de plasma par transmission depuis le temple planétaire d'Arhayas. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Ça veut dire que la Terre-net, à partir du moment où la graine, où le cœur de la Terre a commencé sa fusion avec le cœur de la Terre médiane, ça ouvre cette possibilité à tous les êtres qui vivent sur la Terre. Donc, qu'est-ce que ça va signifier? La vie après la Terre, donc la Terre nette telle que nous l'avons connue jusqu'à présent. Et ça, c'est une traduction ici. La vie après la Terre. À travers les événements actuels monumentaux décrits en détail ci-dessus et brièvement résumés ci-dessous, l'éveil planétaire de la graine d'argent de notre Terre s'est produit entre le 23 décembre et le 26 décembre 2012 et notre Terre nette est devenue la Terre d'ascension Aurora, le 26 décembre 2012, qui culminera avec l'aube de l'âge des Lumières du 3 janvier 2013. La vie après la Terre, ça veut dire la vie, c'est-à-dire la vie sur la Terre d'ascension Aurora, ici et maintenant, et pour les générations de la Terre Aurora qui traverseront les 900 prochaines années de notre hôte planétaire, de la rivière Cristal vers l'ascension Cristar Adachi 3. Donc Adachi, c'est le terme correct pour maître ascensionné. Et un maître ascensionné, c'est quelqu'un qui a déjà fait l'ascension. Et Adachi 3, ce sont des êtres qui ont complété ce cycle d'ascension 3 fois, donc ils connaissent bien le processus. Et donc ce sont ceux qui nous aident. Ce sont des êtres qui ont déjà complété ce processus d'ascension 2 fois, donc processus d'ascension donc par transfiguration du corps en lumière. Et qui sont à l'état de soleil, etc. Qu'est-ce que cela signifie? Pour les débutants, cela signifie ce qui suit. Grâce au mécanisme actuel et continu de l'hôte de la rivière Cristal Fail-Safe, notre Terre Aurora est maintenant une planète d'ascension à part entière et ses passages temporels de porte d'Ispan al-Humra sont ouverts maintenant et resteront ouverts en permanence pour les 900 prochaines années de la Terre Aurora. La guerre invisible des grilles, la guerre des plasmas dans laquelle notre Terre est empêtrée depuis des éons et qui a atteint son point zéro de tolérance Christ entre septembre 2000 et août 2011 en temps terrestre, lorsque l'intervention Fail-Safe Christ al-Humra a été appelée et progressivement mise en œuvre, est finalement terminée et l'hôte Fail-Safe al-Humra de la rivière Cristal a prévalu. Les Templiers planétaires et les systèmes de portes de notre Terre d'ascension Aurora sont maintenant sous le protectorat complet de l'hôte Fail-Safe de la rivière Cristal, AMCC, MCEO, et les systèmes de portes déchus d'Alpha Oméga et des Fétalis sont maintenant définitivement fermés, bloquant toute nouvelle invasion de l'intérieur ou de l'extérieur par les Fétalis et ceux qui choisissent les chemins du retour de la chute. Au cours des 900 prochaines années, notre Terre Aurora deviendra une station d'ascension intergalactique pour de nombreuses formes de vie et de conscience qui chercheront un hôte Christ final pour l'évacuation des galaxies en chute dans la faille torale, telle que notre galaxie de la Voie lactée et ses nombreux systèmes solaires en chute comme le nôtre. De nombreuses formes de vie et de conscience hébergées par le Christ commenceront à visiter et à s'incarner sur notre terre d'ascension Aurora afin de progressivement recevoir la biorégénèse dont elles auront besoin pour passer à travers les passages Al-Humra vers les différentes îles-plateformes d'ascension des plans D de l'hôte fail-safe de la rivière Cristal. Au cours de cette période de 900 ans pendant laquelle notre terre d'ascension Aurora sera une station d'ascension intergalactique, notre terre Aurora subira de nombreux changements, à la fois dans l'arrivée et le départ de ses champs de vie et de conscience, jusqu'à divers changements lents mais progressifs, des ajustements géologiques que le corps planétaire engagera à mesure que l'actuel champ Merkaba d'étoiles de la mort, avec son ensemble à 34 rotations inversées, faisant partie de l'aspect Terre-prison, au sein de la Terre Aurora, guérira progressivement et reviendra à une Merkaba Christ et organique avec un contre-ensemble de rotation. Donc ça veut dire que pendant cette période de 900 ans, il y aura d'autres races qui viendront s'incarner dans des corps humains pour pouvoir ascensionner par la Terre et sortir de cette parce que notre Voie lactée est en implosion et est en train de se faire manger par le trou noir. Et donc il n'y a que la Terre qui va sortir, et la Terre va sortir tout le reste, et donc beaucoup de races extraterrestres vont venir s'incarner dans des corps humains pour avoir l'opportunité de faire cette transfiguration du corps et sortir par la rivière de cristal. Donc il y aura l'arrivée et le départ de ces champs de vie, donc c'est pour ça qu'on voit maintenant énormément de races d'animaux qui partent. Donc il y a beaucoup de morts, de décès au niveau des animaux. Des fois on trouve des oiseaux qui meurent tout d'un coup, des bancs de poissons, des troupeaux qui tout d'un coup ils sont tous morts. Enfin c'est très très bizarre. Alors ça peut être les ondes et les attaques qu'on a ici, mais en même temps, comme les passages fréquentiels sont ouverts, c'est possible pour ces champs de vie de partir directement par un chemin de réincarnation évolutif de cette façon. Et elle parle aussi de changement géologique. Donc dans le matériel des gardiens, ils ont souvent parlé qu'il arrivera un moment où il y aura beaucoup de changements climatiques. Donc avant même qu'il y ait toute cette histoire sur le réchauffement climatique, etc., ils disaient que ça va se passer maintenant. Est-ce que c'est provoqué ou pas? Ça n'a pas d'importance. Il y a une partie qui fait partie. Il y a une partie qui est l'évolution naturelle de la Terre, puisque la Terre, déjà, elle est retournée, elle est à l'envers. Elle est sur un axe tordu de 23,5 degrés, je pense, et tout ça, ça doit être ramené, mais ça ne peut pas être ramené d'un coup. Donc en fait, si de l'autre côté, ils avaient réussi avec leur Merkaba de l'étoile de la mort, ça aurait été de façon très abrupte, et tout le monde aurait été mort sur Terre, si ça avait réussi. Et donc là, avec, le processus est ralenti de façon à ce que les formes de vie puissent s'adapter aux changements géologiques et climatiques qui vont avoir lieu, mais ils vont avoir lieu progressivement. Alors, le Soleil de notre système solaire est toujours engagé dans sa transition bardois. Bardois, ça veut dire mort. Un processus lent mais inévitable qui générera progressivement divers changements et nécessitera des ajustements sur les champs de vie de notre Terre Aurora. Entre le 3 janvier 2012 et 2047 après Jésus-Christ, notre Terre d'ascension Aurora transfigurera progressivement un autre tiers de sa base de matière élémentale atomique et de ses champs de vie et de conscience correspondant à la fréquence de l'hôte Christ, en plasma élémental atomique de vie éternelle des plans Deity. Donc la transfiguration, c'est que c'est la transformation en lumière de la matière progressive. Donc la Terre a entamé ce processus de transfiguration. Il y a déjà un tiers qui a commencé. Et là, il nous annonce que entre janvier 2012 et 2047, un deuxième tiers va se transfigurer et toutes les formes de vie qui sont sur Terre suivent ce processus de transformation cellulaire en même temps que la Terre. Et les formes de vie qui n'arrivent pas vont mourir et leur conscience soit se réincarnera dans un corps pour lequel ce sera plus facile de suivre les montées fréquentielles de la Terre, et certains se réincarnent directement dans des zones qui sont puisqu'on sait que la Terre nette et la Terre médiane sont en train de fusionner, donc il y a des zones d'intersection entre les deux, avant de passer tout de suite en 6520. Alors, entre 2047 et 2912 après Jésus-Christ, le tiers restant de notre base de matière élémentale atomique, de notre terre d'ascension aurora et de nos champs de vie et de conscience se transfigurera en plasma élémental atomique de vie éternelle des plans des Yétis, au fur et à mesure que notre terre d'ascension aurora et Urta ascension M31 engagent lentement et progressivement leur propre cycle de fusion planétaire Tantri-Eja pour finalement accomplir leur ascension cristal Adachi 3 via l'hôte failsafe de la rivière cristal AMCC MCIO. Donc Urta, c'est le nom de la Terre à Andromède. Andromède qui est la galaxie M31, donc la galaxie M31 Andromède qui n'est pas à confondre avec la constellation d'Andromède. En ce qui concerne maintenant notre vie après la Terre commence là. En ce qui concerne maintenant, notre vie après la Terre commence là où nous sommes, ici et maintenant. Et les bien-aimés gardiens éternels Christ de l'hôte failsafe de la rivière cristal AMCC MCIO établiront progressivement un contact subtil avec ceux qui choisissent l'hôte de la rivière cristal afin qu'ils puissent progressivement partager avec nous les enseignements Tantri Ahura sacrés, le chemin de l'art biospirituel, à travers lesquels nous pouvons grandir, nous développer et nous redécouvrir en tant qu'être Christ, de vie éternelle, chargé de la garde de notre bien-aimé templier planétaire de la Terre d'Ascension Aurora, tandis que nous avançons tous ensemble à travers les 900 ans de l'hôte, failsafe de la rivière cristal de la Terre d'Ascension Aurora. Voilà, donc ça c'est la dispensation qui a été publiée officiellement le 31 décembre 2012. Je vous ai mis le lien ici, mais je vous ai également montré comment y accéder. Donc, vous allez sur le site Arhayas, post ici, et là il y a tout ce qu'ils ont publié publiquement, et c'est cet article-là.